Today, we're breaking down a really practical guide to recovery. We're going to frame it as a journey, a mission, really, to get out of a tough spot. We'll look at the biology behind it, the habits that can help, and the mindset you need to build momentum and finally break free.
You know, this metaphor of a black hole, it just hits right, doesn't it? Because it validates that feeling of being completely and totally stuck. It's not just about being sad, it literally feels like the physics of your own world have changed, and the gravitational pull is just immense.
So if you're caught in that pull, the big question is, how do you get out? Well, it's about building your escape vehicle, piece by piece. This is an active mission, but I promise you, it's an achievable one.
Okay, first things first. To build our rocket, we have to understand the forces we're up against. So in this first section, we're going to look at the biological and physiological gravity that makes depression so incredibly powerful.
From the inside, it can feel like you're living behind some kind of filter. It's like you're wearing these invisible, noise-canceling headphones. Good things might be happening out there, but they sound distant, muffled. But all the negative stuff, the regrets, the self-criticism, oh, that comes through loud and clear.
And look, this isn't just in your head, it is biology. The brain's own chemical messengers, the stuff that controls your energy, your motivation, your sense of pleasure, they get all out of whack. And on top of that, the part of your brain that's in charge of your inner thoughts, your own personal narrator, it can get stuck in this awful negative loop, just replaying mistakes over and over.
And it gets even deeper. This actually connects right into your physical health. If your body has chronic inflammation, it can literally hijack the raw materials needed to make serotonin, your brain's mood regulator, and turn them into something toxic instead.
Your whole body's stress clock can get flipped upside down. Normally, cortisol, the stress hormone, peaks in the morning to get you up and going. But with depression, it can spike late at night, around 9 p.m., fueling anxiety, messing up your deep sleep, and waking you up at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Okay, so that's the gravity of the situation. Now let's talk about how we light the fuse. This section covers what is probably the single most important and kind of counterintuitive idea for getting off the ground.
This right here is the core of the entire escape plan. That black hole, it tells you to wait. Wait until you feel like it. Wait until you have the motivation. That is the trap. The key, the absolute secret is to act first, even in the tiniest possible way, because that action is what creates the motivation you've been waiting for.
And that brings us right back to our rocket metaphor. See, you don't escape a black hole with one single giant push. You do it with sustained thrust. And those small, consistent actions, habits, that's your thrust. They are the rockets that build your escape velocity over time. So how do we actually start that engine? Well, this is where it gets super practical. We're talking about small, actionable habits that can genuinely ignite the whole recovery process.
Think of this as your launch sequence. And look how small these are. We're not talking about huge goals. These are 1-minute tasks. Take a shower. Put just one dish in the dishwasher. Step outside for 60 seconds. Answer one email. Each one of these is a tiny, tiny victory, and it proves that you can still have an effect on your world.
Now, what's so brilliant about these tiny actions is that they have a second job. They aren't just tasks, they're tools to break you out of those negative thought spirals. Focusing all your attention on one little thing or just sending a quick text, it can physically pull you out of your head and stick you right back in the present moment.
So, you've achieved liftoff. That's amazing. But how do you turn a single launch into a sustained flight? The next step is creating a predictable path, a daily orbit, that helps you keep that momentum and stay well.
I mean, just look at the difference here. When your life is unstructured, it's so easy to just be adrift with your own thoughts. But when you have structure, even a really simple routine, it helps regulate all those biological rhythms we talked about. It shifts your focus from how you feel inside to what you're doing outside, and that creates a real sense of purpose.
And a huge part of that structure is nutrition. The research points to a daily dose of at least 1,000 milligrams of EPA, which is a type of omega-3. Getting that can significantly lower the inflammation we talked about earlier, which supports your mood and can even help other treatments work better.
Now, building a stable orbit isn't just about adding good things. It's also about jettisoning the stuff that's pulling you back down. This means actively working to stop behaviors, like substance use or maybe too much escapism, that are getting in the way of your mood finding a healthier, more stable baseline. All right, last section. Once we're up and cruising, how do we stay on course for the long haul? This is all about the psychological strategies for navigating your way forward and maintaining your altitude.
When you're facing a problem that feels like a giant, fire-breathing dragon, the goal is not to fight the whole thing at once. The goal is to find the absolute smallest piece of it you can conquer. Maybe that's not cleaning your entire room. Maybe it's just sitting up in bed. That still counts. That's a win. This is such a critical mind shift. When you're depressed, chasing that feeling of joy can be almost impossible and really frustrating. But achievement, that quiet, solid knowledge that you did something worthwhile, that's often still accessible. And it's a much more durable, reliable source of self-worth.
So, learn to be a gentle negotiator with yourself, not some harsh tyrant. Trying to force yourself to do things rarely works. Instead, just ask a simple, compassionate question. Okay, what am I actually willing to do right now that can make today just a tiny bit better?
And that's really the whole journey in a nutshell. It doesn't start with a feeling. It starts with an action. One tiny, 1-minute task can be the spark. And when you do it again and again, that spark becomes a steady thrust, building momentum until, eventually, the pull of that black hole starts to fade.
So we'll leave you with that one simple question. This isn't about solving everything all at once. It's just about starting the ignition sequence. It's about taking that first, single, manageable step. What's yours going to be?